Special edition from the Star in Frisco in the Globe Life studios as we head into week 4 of the NFL season. The Dallas Cowboys now with a divisional win and a 2-1 record with back-to-back victories this week over the New York Giants. And they face the Washington Commanders, another NFC East battle on the docket. Alongside Isaiah Stanback, Barry Church, Nate Newton, I'm Kyle Yeomans. It was a 23-16 win for the Cowboys over the Giants. And Barry, it looks like, at least after 2 straight wins, the Cowboys are starting to figure things out, especially on the offensive side of the football. Defense has had it figured out for a little bit of time. But is the arrow pointing up for this Cowboys team?
I believe it is. I believe the arrow is pointing up. And like you said, that defense has it figured out. If they can consistently go the way they're going as far as pressuring the quarterback and playing great secondary play as well, I think the arrow has to be pointing up.
I would agree. I would think that the arrow's starting to point up as well. And it's simply because of the fact they ran the ball, Barry. They finally started getting back to running the ball. Dallas, I don't care who the offensive coordinator is, who they have a receiver. This is a run-first offense, and everything else builds off of that.
Tony Pollard. Arrows up on him, man. Zeke finding his way, getting into a little rhythm. Offensive line is smooth. Hey, arrows going up.
100 yards rushing for Tony Pollard. Ezekiel Elliott helping combine for 170 yards on the ground for the Cowboys offensively. But it was Cooper Rush, who's now 3-0 as a starter, joining just Roger Staubach and Jason Garrett as the only Cowboys quarterbacks to win their first 3 starts. And Isaiah, you played quarterback in this league for a long time. How has Cooper Rush galvanized an entire locker room the way that he does?
Man, he's managing this team better than the CPA manages my account, and that's all I know. And he's doing a good job of just simply not messing up. You know, that's all you really ask out of your backup quarterback. He puts you in a position to be successful. You know, he understands the offense, so he's able to get guys to hot routes. He's able to get guys out of bad protection. He's able to get runs called whenever you're 3rd and long. You know, he's running the ball and you're getting first downs. He's just doing a good job of helping these guys succeed.
Yeah, Cooper Rush is doing an amazing job out there. He's extremely efficient, 21 of 31, 215 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. So he's taking care of the football out there. And overall, I mean, he's taking advantage of all the opportunities that he's had out there. And if they can continue to have this balanced approach offensively where they're using the run to set up the pass, I believe Cooper Rush will continue to take advantage of all these opportunities.
And his stat line might have looked a little better if not for a couple drops in that first half. But the drop that everybody was talking about was CeeDee Lamb over the middle, had a wide open look, and then it just went right through his hands. However, he redeemed himself a little bit later in the game, Nate. He looked like a number 1 wide receiver, not only in the roster or on the roster, but really in the division when he played the way he did in that second half.
That has always been the thing with me with CeeDee Lamb. I want to see him catch the small ball. I wanted to see him make those plays. And when they had a series where it just came down to him where he had to lock in, focus, make that 4th and 1, then the next play, a third down play, then get into the end zone. That's what he needed to get his momentum going and his confidence up.
He needed that second half. He needed those plays. He needed those opportunities. He needed Kellen Moore to force him the ball on those tricky type plays, right? The fake screen pass to him, where you saw him dipping his head and trying to run through a guy. You saw the one-hand catch. CeeDee Lamb, it builds, and most big-time players play off of confidence, and that's exactly what he finished up with in that second half.
He had 4 big receptions on the touchdown drive that culminated with his one-handed grab in the back of the end zone in order to give the Cowboys the lead late. But that defense is what kept them within striking distance, and they've only allowed 3 touchdowns, tied for the fewest through their first 3 games in franchise history. They continue to play well, Barry, but what has made them successful?
You just mentioned it, the pressure that they're able to provide on these quarterbacks. I mean, the sky is the limit to me when you talk about this defense, because if they can continue to get the pressure on these quarterbacks, it makes everyone's job that much easier out there. And like you said, they've only given up 3 touchdowns in the first 3 weeks. If they can continue on this pace, there'll be a problem for any offense that they come across this year.
And the Cowboys looking to go to 3-1 for the 2nd straight season after losing their season opener. They can do so with a win over the Commanders this week. But how can the Cowboys continue to give Cooper Rush a situation for success? Isaiah Stanback takes us inside the All-22. We look at the film when we come back on Special Edition.
Special Edition, presented by AT&T, is brought to you by Ford F-Series, the best-selling truck in Texas. Reliant, an NRG company. Blockchain.com, trusted by millions, trusted by America's team. And by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. This segment is brought to you by Salvation Army, Love Beyond.
played a lot, obviously, with Dak. Where do you think your rapport is right now with Cooper Rush, and how will it be stepping in with him?
I mean, Coop throw a good ball. He throw a great ball. So it's not that hard. You know what I'm saying? Go back out there, just get back in the rhythm. Coop's gonna put it on the money. I'm gonna make him right.
Michael Gallup hopefully back in the fold for Cooper Rush in this Cowboys offense this week as we welcome you back in to Special Edition alongside Isaiah Stanback. I'm Kyle Yeomans, and having Michael Gallup back in the fold will help open things up for this Cowboys offense, but they've already done so with Cooper Rush at quarterback in a number of different ways.
Yes, and Kellen Moore is doing a great job of setting up Cooper Rush for success, and he's doing it by a number of ways. Matter of fact, 3 ways, and we're going to show you all of them right here. So as you guys tune into the film, the first thing that they're doing a great job of is getting him going on the ground. Who's him? Number 21. Okay, who's him? Number 20, Pollard. Both of these guys on the ground game are doing a great job, and they ran for over 170 yards last week against the Giants, and we need to see more of it. It protects Cooper Rush because it takes the stress off of him, even when teams decide to fork 7 guys up front. So you guys will see it right here. The Giants have everybody walked up on the front here. Okay, you got 6 guys. We got 5 blockers. But you guys see they're back here in a pistol formation. That means that the quarterback is behind the center, and then the running back is actually sitting right behind the quarterback. Let's check out how this thing works out, okay? I want you guys to pay close attention to right here, Mr. Tyler Smith. Go ahead and play it through. Bam, pause it right there. First thing you have, okay, you got Ferguson coming down. We call this down, down, and around. We have Noah Brown, sorry, not Noah Brown, CeeDee Lamb coming right here on the crackback, and then you're having Tyler Smith, your most athletic offensive lineman, getting out here on the edge. Go ahead and play it through. Boom, right there, doing a great job here. Now you have Zeke on the outside. Most of the time, you would imagine that you have Tony Pollard coming out here, but no. Zeke is getting out on the edge. Oh, run it back one more time. We can't go past that. Tyler Smith sees the safety coming here. A whammy, okay, he gets knocked down on the ground. You're running the ball to your best blocking receiver right here in Noah Brown. He does a great job, and then you go ahead and finish it out. You got Zeke breaking tackles, finishing like we know he knows how to. Tyler Smith just finished another guy. Oh, he's not done yet. I got one more hit. Yeah, whammo. You're lucky you didn't get a penalty there, but we'll take it. We like the physicality.
The physicality's been there, but not only just from a run game standpoint, but also from a pass protection standpoint, too, because they've been able to max protect against Cooper Rush. What does that look like?
So max protection right here, it does a great job of giving him the confidence, the peace of mind to sit back there and not have to worry about rushers, defensive ends, linebackers, safeties, blitzers. It doesn't matter. He can sit back there all day long because he's going to have 8 guys protecting for him. How do I know that? Well, because there's 8 guys up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Who's number 8? Running back here, okay? So we're doing a great job here of ensuring that everybody's protected. It doesn't matter who comes up here. The thing that you need to pay attention to, though, is that Kellen Moore does a great job of knowing that he has full confidence in his 2-receiver route, his 2-receiver concept. These guys are going to get open based upon the formation and based upon the personnel. Go ahead and play it through real quick. Boom, snap the ball, little play action, pause it right there. I want you guys to look at all the eyes that are up here. There's so many guys that have their eyes in this backfield. They're all coming up here. What does that leave open? Well, when you have a single high safety back here, you know right off the bat he's either going to be cover 3 or cover 1. They both play the same way. So you'll have CeeDee Lamb taking this inside man out of it. When he takes him out of it, who does it leave open? Now you have Noah Brown back here one-on-one with inside leverage. He's going to be able to break this thing off, and he literally has his entire window, boom, for right here for Cooper Rush to be able to drop this thing off to him. Easy money all day long. That's going to be there available to him, but it's created because of the simple fact that he has a max protection and he can sit back there calmly and comfortable and deliver a nice ball.
What happens when he doesn't have that type of protection?
Oh, when he doesn't have that type of protection, teams think they can heat him up. They recognize that this formation, he's out here, he's in no man's land. He's back here by himself. He only has 5 offensive linemen back here because all of his receivers are out here. There's 2 guys out here. There's 1, 2, 3 guys out here. So right off the bat, defensive coordinators are like, perfect, this is our chance. Let's go ahead and heat him up. Not so fast, my friend. Okay, right here, what you're going to see is this safety walking right up here. He's coming right over him, and he's trying to do a good job of disguising, but not so much. Okay, so here he is there. Boom, all of a sudden, Cooper Rush knows that he's going to be the man on fire. Okay, so we're coming here, and you have man-to-man coverage. All right, let me run that back. Sorry there. We got man-to-man coverage here, man-to-man coverage here. Supposed to be man-to-man coverage, but if this man decides to be hot and come here, somebody has to run a hot route. What is a hot route? That is, look at me right now. Change your route. I don't care what you're running. Get your eyes back to the quarterback so that we can have a highly efficient play. Go ahead and play it through. Boom, pause right there. So right off the bat, Ferguson does a great job of recognizing that his man came. So his man came hot. He is down here in the mix getting beat up by Zach Martin, all right, who's picking him up on the pressure. But again, what do we have? Man-to-man, man-to-man. His man is now gone. So what he's going to do is his hot route, get his eyes back to the quarterback. Cooper Rush sees it, gets him the ball right now. That is a high precision pass. It gets those guys out of a bad situation, gets them positive yardage, and all of a sudden the chains keep moving.
And it's really that connection between a quarterback and his receivers and a quarterback and his offensive coordinator that allows that confidence to continue to build. You've talked about it before when you were playing with Tom Brady. He would just look at somebody, there's the hot route, you know what's going on at the line of scrimmage, and a good quarterback will do so. Cooper Rush starting to get into that conversation. Now, the Cowboys this week face an old friend. How can the Cowboys slow down Carson Wentz and get after the most sacked quarterback in the NFL?
This segment was brought to you by Salvation Army. Love Beyond. This segment is brought to you by Ford F-Series, the best-selling truck in Texas.
I think when you play anybody in September, there's the unscouted look challenge, but also playing these division games early are a bit of a challenge because it's everybody's upgraded and tried to improve their 90-man roster, and I think our division foes have done a nice job of that.
Mike McCarthy brought to you by AT&T as we welcome you back into Special Edition, and it is another divisional matchup on the way against the Washington Commanders at AT&T Stadium here in Week 4. Let's start with Carson Wentz. His first season with the Commanders, he's now started for 3 different organizations on opening day the last 3 years. But with Washington so far, he's been on the run, Isaiah. He's been the most sacked quarterback in the NFL.
He's the Christmas gift that nobody wants. And everybody keeps passing him around. But the reality is this guy is hot and cold, and his offensive line isn't doing him any favors. Those guys are pretty bad. They just gave him 9 sacks last week, and I don't see it slowing down. Hopefully Dallas can break that record going into this week.
Yeah, I know anything can happen on any given Sunday, but I just don't see Carson Wentz having much success against this Dallas defense. I feel like he holds the ball way too long out there, and 9 times out of 10 it results in him either being sacked or running for his life and throwing the ball out of bounds. And when things get ugly, this Washington team, they don't have an identity to fall back on. So I see this Dallas defense taking full advantage of that and taking full advantage of Carson Wentz.
Looking at the film, the offensive line hasn't played well, along with Carson Wentz not playing well. It's a lack of confidence. They don't run the ball effectively. So, they put it on his shoulders, and he's not holding up.
Yeah, it's the first time since 2017 that the NFL's most sacked quarterback has faced the NFL defense with the most sacks. That was the 2017 Jaguars. There was somebody on this panel that was on that defense in Saxonville, Mr. Barry Church. But you look at Carson Wentz, if he can get the ball out, he gets it out to a number of different receivers. And 3 different guys right now lead the main categories catching the football. Curtis Samuel leads in receptions, Terry McLaurin leads in yards, and then Jahan Dotson leads in receiving touchdowns. Nate, they've got some weapons on the outside. They just have to get it there.
Yeah, they got to get it. They got to start with a quick passing game. They got to get it out. Now, normally, small receivers give us problems. They say, I don't know if these guys can, but just jam them up and see what's happening to Isaiah.
You want to get your hands on them at the line of scrimmage for sure, but I think that they're much like the Dallas Cowboys. For their receivers to be effective, they need a solid running game, and if they can't get Gibson rolling, you don't have to worry about Scary Terry.
Yeah, exactly. If this defense can contain Gibson and McKissick, who have, done some damage to the Cowboys in the past, if they can contain them, I can see them locking those guys up because Carson Wentz just won't have time for those routes to develop to get to those receivers.
All right, let's flip it to the other side of the football. The defense for Washington still presents some challenges with individuals, especially right there in the middle. That front seven still very stacked talent-wise. However, without Chase Young in the fold, Barry, are they as exciting or as scary as they have been in past years?
They can still be dangerous because they got Montez Sweat on the outside. He can provide some pressure. He has great bend on the outside as well. And like you mentioned, they have those 2 big Bama boys in the middle, Allen and Payne as well, that can cause damage to this offensive line. So if I'm the Cowboys O-line, do not sleep on these guys because they can still be game wreckers.
Don't sleep, don't take a nap, don't do any of those things because those big boys in the middle, Nate talks about them all the time, they're dangerous if you allow for them to get their confidence going.
Just play, with confidence, play with technique, especially when the guys in the middle, and they should be okay.
Got to find a way to block them up. It's going to be a test for that young offensive line, and we'll talk a little bit about some of those matchups as well when we come back here on Special Edition. One of those matchups, how about that wide receiving core? Are they going to test Jordan Lewis in the secondary for the Cowboys? Special Edition continues in a moment.
This segment was brought to you by Ford F-Series, the best-selling truck in Texas.
You know, special teams always been important. I feel like, you know, that's like field position, you know, big play waiting to happen. And I just feel like I'm a game changer, you know, when it comes down to special teams.
That man right there, Cavante Turpin, is your NFL leader in punt return on average. 16 yards per return. He's been electric in the special teams unit as we welcome you back to Special Edition here with Isaiah Stanback, Barry Church, Nate Newton. I'm Kyle Yeomans. Isaiah, you've had your eyes on this Cowboys special teams unit, both returning, kicking, punting, doesn't matter. They've been fantastic to this point.
They have been, and that boy Cavante Turpin is, like Michael Jackson said, dangerous. And then you want to get him the ball as early and as often as possible. Teams are going to start kicking it out of bounds, but until they do, you need to make sure that you block it up because the approaching team here, the Washington Commanders, okay, these guys, their coverage team is pretty doggone good. These guys they run down the field, they flow fast, they stay in their lanes, and they hit you whenever they get a chance to. So don't turn the ball over there. Don't give them an opportunity. Continue to do your work there.
The Commanders might be 1-2, but the strength of their team is really that third aspect of the game, and that's special teams. So keep that in mind. Barry, what are your matchups to watch?
Well, once again, my matchup is in the secondary. I got Jordan Lewis versus Curtis Samuel. Now, to me, Jordan Lewis is one of the better slot defenders in the National Football League. He's great in space. He can tackle. He can blitz. He's a great overall corner out there, but he's going to have his hands full with this matchup against Curtis Samuel because the Washington Commanders, they use him everywhere. They line him up in the backfield, let him run the rock. They motion him out from the backfield, let him line up in the slot. They have him out wide sometimes as well. So this guy is a guy that loves to do crossing routes, so it's going to be key for Jordan Lewis to keep his eyes where he needs to be, especially in man-to-man coverage.
Now, Washington has some weapons, but Curtis Samuel's the one that leads in receptions with 22. That's an opportunity for him to have an advantage over Jordan Lewis, right?
Well, without a doubt, because like I said, they use him on a lot of crossing routes, so it's going to be between Jordan Lewis and the linebackers to make sure they have great communication out there. And those linebackers, don't be afraid to give Curtis Samuel a little budge to help your boy out on those crossing routes.
So it's going to be on Leighton Vander Esch and Anthony Barr at the second level to try and muddy things up in the interior, so that way Ron Rivera can't get Curtis Samuel open. But speaking of muddying things up in the interior, that's exactly what Washington's going to try and do on the interior defensive line, right, Nate?
Yes, sir. With Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne, these two dudes are the Bama twins. They're good at stopping the run. They're going to flash. They're going to make plays. And it's going to be up to our guard and centers to do that job. And by the way, Cole Holcomb is the guy that is the recipient of all of this, that middle linebacker. So watch for this, the middle of our offense versus the middle of their defense. If we can control them, the game is ours.
So with the interior of the Cowboys' offensive line being so, I guess, young, you could say, with Tyler Biadasz, right. And if Matt Farniok is back in the fold, there's a chance Connor McGovern's in the fold there, and then Jason Peters might see some more playing time. Only had 14 snaps in Week 3 against New York. Who do you trust the most on the interior to stand up against that big-time offensive or defensive line from?
I would like to see Peters, and I like to see Biadasz, and I like to see the all-world right guard. And if we can just come downhill and punish these guys and deuce block them off there into Holcomb, I think that gives us our best chance. But if not, we have Matt Farniok in there, either Connor McGovern, we got to stop pulling, moving around, and confusing them.
Only one sack allowed by the Cowboys' offensive line in each of the last 2 weeks combined. So they've done a much better job since that opening matchup against Tampa Bay's front seven of protecting the quarterback. When we come back, we give some keys to the game. How can the Cowboys get to 3-1 on the season and give Mike McCarthy another reason to smile on Special Edition?
Special Edition, presented by AT&T, was brought to you by Ford F-Series, the best-selling truck in Texas. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. And by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys.
Cowboys return home to AT&T Stadium to face the Washington Commanders. Noon kickoff on Sunday. Isaiah, how do the Cowboys get to 3-1?
They need to go to 3-1 by keeping Antonio Gibson under wraps. He has terrorized us over the previous years. Keep him under 75 yards.
For me, defensive line, continue to win your one-on-ones. Micah Parsons is going to give you that ability to have one-on-one matchups out there. D-Law, Dorrance Armstrong, keep taking advantage.
Continue to run the ball because Cooper Rush is at his best when in play-action mode.
Got to find a way to run the football. They did so last week against New York. And hey, Nate Newton got it right prediction-wise. He said Cowboys by 1. Now, what's your prediction this week? I feel like it's going to be bold.
It is bold. It's going to always be by 1. I don't care if it's 58-57 or 1-2. That's an impossible score, but that is how I do it, by 1.
So 2-1 is the final score. I like it.
I don't care, 52-51. It don't matter to me.
Cowboys by 1, as always, here on Special Edition. For Isaiah Stanback, Barry Church, Nate Newton, I'm Kyle Yeomans. We'll see you next week.